Studying for AWS certification? Quick check. Security and management. 10 services every CCP candidate needs to know. Let's go. Question 1. Which AWS service is this? AWS KMS, Key Management Service. KMS lets you create, store, and control the cryptographic keys used to encrypt your data across AWS. Think of it as a secure key cabinet built into the cloud. Every time an S3 bucket, an RDS database, or a Lambda function needs to encrypt or decrypt data, it calls KMS for permission. For the CCP exam, KMS is the answer whenever a question mentions encryption keys, customer-managed keys, or protecting data at rest. The icon is a small key, straightforward, KMS, Key Management Service. Question 2. Which AWS service is this? AWS Organizations. Organizations lets you centrally manage and govern multiple AWS accounts from a single control point. You group accounts into organizational units, OUs, and apply service control policies that set guardrails across all of them. Think of it as a parent company managing subsidiaries. The parent sets the rules, each subsidiary operates within them. For the CCP exam, Organizations is how enterprises manage consolidated billing and apply consistent security policies across dozens or hundreds of accounts. The icon is a network of nodes, an org chart in cloud form. AWS Organizations. Question 3. Which AWS service is this? AWS WAF, Web Application Firewall. WAF sits in front of your web applications and filters incoming HTTP traffic. You define rules, block requests from specific IPs, reject SQL injection patterns, cap request rates to stop scraping. Think of it as a bouncer at the door of your web app who checks every visitor against a rulebook before letting them through. For the CCP exam, WAF protects at Layer 7, the application layer, unlike network-level firewalls. It's typically deployed with CloudFront or an application load balancer. The icon is a shield with a flame, protection with precision, AWS WAF. Question 4. Which AWS service is this? Amazon Guard Duty. Guard Duty is a managed threat detection service. It continuously analyzes CloudTrail logs, VPC flow logs, and DNS logs using machine learning to spot anomalies, unusual API calls, cryptocurrency mining traffic, or signs of credential compromise. Think of it as a security analyst who never sleeps, reading every log your account generates and raising a flag when something looks wrong. For the CCP exam, Guard Duty is a detective control. It finds threats after they emerge. Contrast it with WAF, which prevents them at the door. The icon is a shield with a magnifying glass inside, detection and investigation. Amazon Guard Duty. Question 5. Which AWS service is this? AWS Shield. Shield protects AWS applications from distributed denial of service attacks, DDoS. The standard tier is free and automatic for every AWS customer, absorbing the most common volumetric attacks. Shield Advanced is the paid tier, adding real-time visibility, 24/7 response team support, and cost protection. For the CCP exam, know that Shield Standard is always on at no extra cost, and that Shield Advanced integrates with WAF and CloudFront for comprehensive DDoS defense. The icon is a solid shield, always on, always protecting, AWS Shield. Question 6. Which AWS service is this? AWS Certificate Manager, or ACM. ACM provisions, manages, and auto-renews SSL and TLS certificates for your domains, at no charge on AWS integrated services. That padlock in the browser telling visitors a site is secure. ACM handles that without you manually renewing a certificate every year. For the CCP exam, ACM is the answer when a question mentions HTTPS, SSL, TLS, or certificate management. Certificates issued by ACM are free and renew automatically when attached to CloudFront or an application load balancer. The icon is a certificate scroll, authority and trust. AWS Certificate Manager. Question 7. Which AWS service is this? AWS Cost Explorer. Cost Explorer gives you an interactive view of your AWS spending. Filter by service, region, linked account, or tag. You can look back up to 13 months, identify your top cost drivers, spot anomalies, and forecast the next 3 months. Think of it as your AWS bank statement with filters and charts built in. For the CCP exam, Cost Explorer falls under the Cloud Financial Management pillar. Know the distinction. It's for analysis and forecasting, not for setting spending limits. AWS Budgets does that. The icon is an upward trending bar chart. AWS Cost Explorer. Question 8. Which AWS service is this? AWS Config. Config continuously records the configuration state of your AWS resources and evaluates them against rules you define. If an S3 bucket becomes publicly accessible or a security group opens port 22 to the world, Config flags it as non-compliant. Think of it as a continuous compliance auditor running silently in the background. For the CCP exam, Config is about governance, audit, and compliance tracking. Remember the pairing. Config records what changed in your environment. CloudTrail records who changed it. The icon is a checklist on a gear, configuration and evaluation. AWS Config. Question 9. Which AWS service is this? AWS Budgets. Budgets lets you set custom spending and usage thresholds, then sends alerts via email or SNS when you're approaching or exceeding them. You can budget on total cost, on a specific service, on reserved instance coverage, or on savings plans utilization. Think of it as a spending alarm. It wakes you up before the bill gets out of hand. For the CCP exam, Budgets is for setting limits and triggering alerts. Cost Explorer is for exploring past spend. The exam will test whether you know which tool does which job. The icon is a calculator with a coin. AWS Budgets, as he is a he. Question 10. Which AWS service is this? AWS Control Tower. Control Tower automates the setup of a well-architected multi-account AWS environment called a landing zone with security guardrails built in from day one. Where Organizations gives you the structure, Control Tower builds it for you. It applies best practice service control policies, configures AWS config rules, enables CloudTrail across all accounts, and sets up identity management automatically. Think of it as a move-in, ready, secure office building rather than an empty plot of land. For the CCP exam, Control Tower is the highest-level governance service. It orchestrates Organizations, Config, CloudTrail, and IAM together. The icon is a control panel, AWS Control Tower. 10 security and management services, 10 questions. How many did you get right? Drop your score in the comments below. That's a wrap on the Security and Management edition of Service Recall. If you're studying for your AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner exam, this episode covers services that appear regularly on the exam. Subscribe to catch the next episode. More AWS icons, more questions, more chances to sharpen your cloud knowledge. See you in the next one.